happy. That's all I did.
I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny. Never not making me laugh. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Danny Hernandez and James DeSanti, here to review the go-home episode of AEW Dynamite. Happy St. Patrick's Month, everybody, for all those who celebrate Slanta. And we start here with with the top of the card, which saw Orange Cassidy face off against the worst name in the company, Big Bill, for the All-Atlantic Championship. This match was pretty good. It started with Orange pretty much just playing mind games with Big Bill. He was rolling out of the ring, just being annoying. He was fucking with Stokely's flip-up shades, which are actually kind of nice. Until Big Bill is able to catch him going for the DDT, and he hits a side slam to take control. He beats down Orange for a bit. Eventually, Stokely and Bill move the timekeeper's table over near the base of the ramp. And after some back and forth between Bill and Orange, in which Orange escapes from an initial choke slam, he then goes for, it looked like maybe an Orange punch off of the steps. Big Bill catches him into the choke slam and puts him through the table. We then come out of commercial, and Big Bill put Orange into a full Nelson and basically just wore down Cassidy for a while. He eventually released it, went for the big boot, but Cassidy just sat down and Bill missed it. So Big Bill lifts Cassidy up again, goes for it again, and Cassidy just sits down again. He then rolled out of the ring to the outside, and while they're on the outside, Danhausen, who had come down during commercial, tries to curse Stokely, but Big Bill waves him off. Danhausen then tries to curse Big Bill, but Big Bill takes Danhausen and just absolutely was going to fuck him up until Stokely decided that it would be better if he hit Danhausen with his cast. So that takes Danhausen out, but using this distraction, Orange is able to hit a tope onto Stokely, and then as Orange goes for the second one, Big Bill is able to catch him and then go for the chokeslam again, but Orange counters with a short right hand to Big Bill's face, takes out his knee with what looked like an Orange punch to the knee. It was kind of cool, and then kicks him into the steps. Orange is then able to get Bill back to the ring, counters one of his moves with a Stun Dog Millionaire, and then hits one of his Tilt-A-Whirl DDTs for hitting two Orange punches, and then a third one off of the top rope to retain the All-Atlantic Championship. So, Danny, this was one of those, typical, small, quick guy versus big guy matches, but I thought it was very well done. Orange is on a tear right now. He looks phenomenal, and we'll get to him even more later, but I thought this was a really good opening match, and I've enjoyed seeing Orange open matches in these title bouts. Excuse me. Title bouts.
Best champion in the company. What's up, Jinx? But
Hey,
hands down, best champion in the company. Oh my god, I loved this. Best match of Big Bill's career. Hands down, never will be topped. Nothing's even come close. Nothing will ever come close. Best match of his career, and just another, and I don't like to use this term, but another banger from Orange Cassidy, who is just so unbelievably consistent that he's somehow flying under the radar with how good he has actually been. Like, Orange Cassidy has single-handedly made this title, and he's just been having some of the best matches on AEW television. This was match of the night for me by far, honestly. Ladder match could eat a fucking dick for all I care compared to this match. It was a great match, and we'll get to it later, but I loved this so much. Of course, this is how regular size Orange Cassidy beats Big Bill, because of course he did, because you're not going to put a title on Big Bill who's done nothing and take it off your top fucking guy. I would like to real quick, he's not watching right now, but if he ever somehow comes across this, our friend of the pod, Kevin, we got into a debate back in the summer, maybe, I don't know, about Orange Cassidy when I was saying he could be a champion, because we were talking about the triple threat match where he almost won the world title, and I was like, yeah, I would have loved it if he was champion. I was like, he's like, you can't actually make him champion. I'm like, yes, you can. Are you kidding me? I was like, he sells, he's a top merch seller. He gets some of the best reactions every week. Bro, dude gets a reaction despite working with nobodies week after week, and he's still getting these top level, top guy reactions. And then at the time, like Scorpio Sky and Wardlow were fucking up the TNT title, and I was like, bro, are you telling me Orange Cassidy couldn't be TNT champion? All Atlantic title up here, TNT title pretty barely on screen. It's middling right now.
Coming back up, I think, but
not to all Atlantic levels. You can't compare the two. It's not even a debate. I know what's funny is that
Darby brought it up a bit, but Joe has just been thinking that belt, in my opinion. Not like Sammy Guevara levels, but like it ain't great.
Yeah, it's more like there's a leak, in the boat and it's going down. Whereas like, Sammy was like, no, not all Sammy, but Sammy Scorpio that era, that was like, a torpedo hit the fucking sub and it's down. But I love this. I love Orange Cassidy. I never get sick of it. I love the beginning of this match so much. So entertaining. Like I love the way, and I was thinking about this during the match, and I wish I wrote it down because it was poetic in my head when I thought of it, but now too much time has passed. But what makes Cassidy great isn't just that he does, like, he's good at doing the moves he does, which he is, but he has, for a character as different as it is, he has mastered some of the basic psychology of wrestling. And I even say perfected. What separates good wrestlers from the best wrestlers is that they are good at the beginning of the match. Almost every wrestler in AEW knows how to go from like that second gear to that third gear, the hope spot, the comeback spot. They have their fiery comeback run. Every wrestler is good at that. Everyone has their trademark moves and they're good at that. But not every wrestler is good in the first 5 minutes of a match.
It's true.
Bryan is amazing at it, but Cassidy is on another level because his beginning of all his matches are unique to his character and they're driven by his character, so they never feel out of place because they're always character driven and they're always entertaining, as opposed to the beginning of the match where a match isn't going to end right now. So sometimes, especially if we're spoiled by AEW with great wrestling. So like it's easy to tune out in the beginning of a match because we know it's going to get even better later on and it's going to kick into another gear. So it's like, why care now? Nothing's going to happen right now of note. But you watch an Orange Cassidy match, the first 5 minutes are like the best 5 minutes until the last 5 minutes. But then those middle minutes are also great because that's when he has like the hope spot where he dodges a big boot because he falls over because he's too tired. Like, you don't.
Not even falls over. He just sat down.
Yeah.
He was too lazy to fall.
He slumped over is putting it gently, I guess. But he has mastered tying in his character to in-ring psychology that it makes, that's why everyone likes him. You can show a casual fan Orange Cassidy, they fall in love with them. You show a non-fan Orange Cassidy, they get a kick out of him, they're entertained by him. And you show a hardcore fan Orange Cassidy, and they fucking love him. So Big Bill is a huge cut dude. Scrawny ass Orange Cassidy just beat him clean. Yeah, dude, what is this question, bro?
I mean, I would like to just step in real quick.
Sure, absolutely.
Because we could
let me know it's done.
Oh, well, there you go. We could squeeze Orange Cassidy dry all night, but like, I am a big Bill fan. I hate the name. I think we all agree it's a dumb name.
Are you a Little Bill fan?
I don't like the guy who made Little Bill. But
nice save.
Yeah. But I really do like Big Bill.
I like him too. I have no problem with him.
I'm upset with how AEW has treated him. I'm upset with how AEW has handled him. And again, this comes from being the Impact guy, and I saw how well he was utilized in Impact. It's consistently felt like a waste. But while I agree, Big Bill shouldn't have taken the title from Orange Cassidy, I kind of just wish the match didn't happen. This was great. This was absolutely great for Orange Cassidy. I'm pretty sure he just gave Big Bill his first singles loss in AEW.
And the best match of his career. We already established that, though, but yeah.
Probably.
100%. 100%.
Well, singles match or like match in general?
All right, fine. I guess we'll qualify with singles match, but even then, like, I guess you could say the FTR match in London, like, or the revival match in London. But
I don't know. The match with the vaudevillains could have changed history, but regardless of all that, I would have just rather this match didn't happen. Like, Big Bill is a talent that AEW is a company of average sized men or moderately tall men. You have something in Big Bill that you don't really have that much of. You have Big Bill, you have Luchasaurus, who's admittedly way better than Big Bill. You have Lance Archer, who is admittedly sure. I do like Lance. I really do. That was me. But like, Bill is like a rare talent, and they've done nothing to cultivate that. And this match, all it did was, yep, okay, glad that he's getting the AEW paycheck. That's how I feel now about this guy. Any hype that I should have for him is just non-existent. Non-existent.
So one thing I'll agree with you on that there is, and I was thinking this during the match too, as much as I loved it, they could have built to this as like a bigger deal, like how's he gonna take down this monster. But as far as like some of the tweets that a producer boy is curating for us, these people are dumb. Bro, or you see again, like this tweet is just so obviously wrong. And this is the only downside of this is I'm gonna roast most of the people that end up getting shown, but like we're making fun of the name on this show. Nobody is letting it slide. There's no crickets. Everyone's saying it's a bad name. Like that's just you have a bias. You're going into it. Yeah. And just that that person is going into it like with that mentality of like, oh, if WWE did this, so they're looking for it. When in reality, everyone's making fun of the name. No one's saying it's a good name. But I don't want to get on a tangent about someone's dumb tweet, but like, I do agree with you that they could have done something more about this. I wish they built to it, but like, because I didn't know this match was happening, so this was just a pleasant surprise for me.
A lot of tonight was very just wow, this is happening.
Yeah, that's a good way to sum up the show.
I have been checking the card before the show starts now, so I can help with the rundown and help set that up a bit for the podcast. So I knew a lot of this was coming, but you're right, like. I don't know really where this Big Bill thing came from, other than I just know Stokely kind of hates Orange Cassidy. There wasn't really a build towards it. There wasn't too much of a build towards Hook versus Matt Hardy, at least not that we saw. I assume it was on fucking Rampage, and
on some level
it's getting better, but nobody's watching it as we've seen.
On some level, though, because is AEW at fault for utilizing Rampage, or are we at fault for not watching Rampage? Like, wow. We could all agree. We could all agree that it's at the time slot of death. 10 p.m. on a Friday is obnoxious to expect anybody to make that must-watch television. But they are, like, it's not a Velocity. It's not a Sunday Night Heat or a main event for younger fans. It's not. It's Monday Night Raw. No, all right, must-watch television. It's SmackDown Plus, or SmackDown Light, I should say. It's SmackDown Light, not SmackDown Plus. But man, Orange Cassidy is really lowercase him.
Stay on point, James.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that meant either.
On some level, it's like AEW is putting on the like I've been complaining. I'm gonna go on a whole fucking rampage in a second. About
Rampage?
No, about the Elite and how they're not being utilized. But you know what? They are telling the story. They're just doing it on a show I don't watch. But yeah. I don't know. Like, for this guy who deserves a lot more, who has, in real life, turned his life around, fixed a lot of his mess-ups, fixed a lot of his problems, I want to see him succeed on some level. And as a fan of him in the ring, this is just unacceptable. Again, super happy for Orange Cassidy, but on a mid-card level, how much is too much? Because if we were talking about a main eventer who's just going over everybody, we'd be starting to get tired. I'm not getting tired of Orange Cassidy, but it just doesn't feel like there's ever really going to be stakes to him losing if they don't put him in a proper feud.
That's fair. I will say this about Rampage. There was a long time there where there wasn't really anything on Rampage or anything good outside of maybe, say, when they did Grand Slam or something, or like one of the bigger ones, or did the live, like the ones that they do live usually before the pay-per-view end up being pretty good shows. But there was a long time though where there was just nothing on the show, and we all said, okay, we're not going to watch the show because there's nothing on it, and we were complaining about there being nothing good on it. Now they're putting good stuff on it, they're advancing storylines on it, and we're all complaining because we don't want to watch Rampage that they're putting good stuff on Rampage. So,
but we
have to pick one here.
No, to be fair to us though, yeah, sure. they put the effort in, but at what point is too little, too late? I have been told for months and months and months that this was a program not really worth watching. Now it is, but guess what? My Fridays haven't gotten any less busy, but it just doesn't feel as much of a priority. I am willing to give it another shot, but I am quite content just watching it on YouTube the next day.
Real quick, that tweet that was just put up is total blasphemy. First of all, is there a hashtag dumbass opinions that you're searching for this shit in? What is going on here? But yeah, sorry. I don't think AEW should give up on Rampage completely because, like, you know, they got a deal for it. So like, I don't blame them. But it is one where it's like, it's a little of both. Like, we're at fault and they're at fault. You know, we're being a little stubborn, but they're being like, they're still at fault here. That doesn't, you know, they're not absolved of guilt in this play. Just move it to Thursday and everything will be fine.
Now you can't move to Thursdays because, you know,
I have enough wrestling I gotta cover.
Yeah, now Ring of Honor is going to be Thursday at 7. I think New Japan now has a show at 10 following.
But you know what? Think about this just for a second. Why wouldn't they put Rampage on at the Ring of Honor time slot, 7 p.m.? More people would be active to watch it on a Thursday at 7.
Yeah, but you can't because you got to get those Big Bang repeats in. So, sorry, bud.
Yeah, it's true.
Or Friends. Sometimes it's Friends.
I'm very depressed now, and I would like to switch topics, please, because I'm sad now.
Okay.
I hate to say this, but like, I wasn't even just kidding. Those, especially Big Bang, those reruns bring in a lot of.
I'm sure, but that hurt and broke me on a real deep personal level. So
Friends is a mediocre show, Eric.
I hate Friends. They also can't do it on TNT on Thursdays because they have the NBA. So that's probably another reason they want to do it. The NBA doesn't really start until like 8:30, but so I guess they could do it at 7, but I just don't think they want to counter program themselves. So it'd be a weird juggling act between the NBA and AEW. So that kind of kills Thursdays. But there it is. All right.
Is there anything on Tuesdays? Does anybody care?
Somebody used to on this podcast, and then he stopped doing NXT reviews.
And the podcast.
And the podcast.
I love you, Chad. I'm sorry. That felt wrong. I didn't like doing that.
Let us, though, per James' request, move on. After this match, we had a Jon Moxley backstage promo that was recorded after his win last week over Evil Uno. Moxley was just dripping blood in a back stairwell. This was a fantastic promo. A bloody Mox just saying how he's a sick man, that he lives for the violence. And then he recounts all the things that have happened. Yes, you could see the blood dripping out of his head there. Good find there, Eric. He recounts how everyone called him knocking out Hangman an accident and how the win was a fluke. And then Hangman came around and did the same thing to him, but Hangman was being praised for it. So then Mox said he wanted to leave it alone after the third match, but he probably wouldn't let it go either if he got beat by a move that he learned in the 7th grade. So then Mox closes out by saying that he'll leave no doubt on Sunday in the Texas death match. So, James, holy fuck, this was an amazing promo. I don't know how this guy cut that with all of the blood in his eye. He literally couldn't open one of his eyes because of how much blood was dripping out of his head. This was, as you put, just chef's kiss.
I mean, I don't think anyone could describe the promo better than Mox did himself. He described himself as an animal, a different kind of animal, and AEW only has room for one. And you know why? It's because there's only so much blood you could put on TV every week. Moxley is in a class all of his own. I think we can all agree on that. We could debate whether or not he is the ace of AEW, like the company likes to tout him as, but he is definitely the heart and soul of the company, no matter what. He bleeds for this company. He fights for this company. He champions for this company. And this promo perfectly encapsulates who he is. He's going to fight. He's a fighter. He said it. Hangman is a great wrestler. Hangman is a great man. But Moxley is a fighter. He's an animal. And when he feels pressured the way he does, he lets loose. And my God, how captivating is he? How does John Moxley? Okay. I know a lot of people could get really sick and tired of Moxley's spiel and like his thing. Like, and I know he's been criticized lately by many people. It's not fair to just say Bully Ray is the first guy to call out Moxley on how much he bleeds. But this was an example of it being used so well to push a story, to make it feel so real and raw and important. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I still want Hangman to win on Sunday. I still do want Hangman to win on Sunday, but it's a lot harder now for me to say Hangman is the good guy in this story. I don't know how true that is.
Really? Because I mean, it seems to me that Moxley's the heel here. So
I mean, what is he doing? What is he doing that's heelish? He told Hangman, I don't want to keep fighting you like this. Hangman's the one who stepped up to him, and Moxley's just answering that. And I love Hangman. I don't think Hangman's the bad guy. I don't think this is a good guy, bad guy situation. I think it's just two guys with very big egos who want to prove themselves, not only to themselves, but to each other.
Well, two things. One, I think the BCC as a whole is kind of drifting towards being a heel in general. And as I mentioned last week, I think it's not in terms of them like cheating or anything. It's just their level of violence increasing to a point where
they cheated tonight.
They cross the line. Yeah, they did cheat that, but then they cross a line in terms of just how violent they're being and they become the bad guys. So I think that's that. And two, I do think though, there is an interesting dynamic between Hangman and Mox, because you called Mox the heart and soul of AEW. And I would say Mox is probably one of them is the heart and the other one's the soul. Pick which one is which, but
which one's Cedric Alexander and which one's Mustafa Ali?
Basically, yeah, when they were the heart and soul of 205 Live. Yeah. One of them's the heart of the company, one of them's the soul of the company. And I think I might have Moxley as the soul and Hangman as the heart because Hangman has a heart. But I think it's such an interesting dynamic, even though Moxley is slowly starting to shift towards a heel mentality. So it's going to be a sick match. It's going to be very violent. I think we definitely see Mox will fight it in a heel fashion as he fought MJF, even though he was technically facing that. So I think, Danny, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think this promo did an absolutely wonderful job to help set it up on Moxley's end.
I think it did. And just real quick to James's point, I do think it's more like when Moxley was feuding with Omega, where Omega was a out-and-out babyface. Moxley was more of a tweener that no one was booing, but he was still just beating up the guy he didn't like, and
putting him through glass tables.
yeah. So pretty. I would look at it more that way. As I don't think either one of the guys are heels. They're just both very motivated, angry men. But yeah, this promo was great. And that, funny enough, that tweet does bring me to the part of the promo I really liked where he's like, what I'm doing is not something to aspire to be. It's not something to look up to. It's like, I am a sick man. I don't know. That part of the promo did just hit a little differently for me. And I was a big fan of that. And obviously, yeah, he's bleeding, of course, but it's leftover bleeding. He made the most of his bleeding from last week. It's like, hey, I'm bleeding. Might as well make the most of it. So this was really, really good. And I really enjoyed this promo. And Moxley, one of the tweets the producer boy put up earlier, put it was like he just is so good at this, man. No one does this type of promo like him. No one really holds up. It's funny with the Shield guys, they all kept part of it for a long time. You know, Roman kept the music and the entrance and the vest like a loser. Seth kept the Architect nickname and just being the best wrestler. Moxley kept the promo, the promo of the backstage promo, and just making that backstage area his own personal environment where it's like, oh, this is a Moxley promo. It has the look to it, the feel of it. Yeah. So and he really has mastered that. And you know, like, jobs aside at the Shield, they all went on to find their own thing and master that too. But Mox has had this since before WWE. Like this was, I don't remember who he cut the promo on now, but I just remember that he had a really intense, similar like type of backstage, like boiler room, locker room sort of promo prior to his WWE days. I was like, oh man, this guy fucking gets it. He's on another level. And the fact that this was a run of the mill Moxley promo in that regard, but when I say run of the mill, I mean it. And like this promo was great, but just par for his insane course, that type of promo. Like, it was a really good promo. And we'll talk about it later, but this vastly outshined Hangman's promo, in my opinion, that we got later in the night.
That's fair. And like you said, we will get there in a bit. But in the meantime,
do you just want to cover that now? Like get it all.
Instead of jumping back, yeah, we could do that. I'm on board with that. Yeah, sure. Hangman sounds like a bitch. Tell him, Rev.
So the Hangman promo took place what looked like it was underneath a pier or an overpass or something. It was outside. Anyway, he says that this match is the only thing he has left because Mox took away everything else he had. He lost the AEW championship, and then Mox took away his shot at regaining the title, and then he took away his memories with the concussion, the feelings in the tip of his fingers, his friend after he kicked the shit out of Evil Uno. So now all Hangman has left is this match, and he's going to use it to take everything from Mox, what he took from him. Hangman said that he abhors violence, but he's going to become the most violent person he can because the only way out of a Texas death match is to live or die, and he's not going to die. I did kind of shorten that a bit, but that was the general gist of it. But it appears, Danny, that, like you said, you thought this was far worse than Moxley's was.
I mean, honestly, only a little bit worse, but just exaggerating for character, because as you guys know, we all do this in character. These aren't our actual opinions. We don't really care about wrestling, but like it was a bit.
I didn't even watch the show tonight.
Yeah, that's and I've done that before, and we've gone through the podcast just fine. But
just read the Reddit recap, and you're fine.
But I thought the content was phenomenal. I didn't like the environment. It wasn't. I just spent all this time talking about how Moxley has crafted this perfect environment for himself. This was not Hangman's environment. Like, I don't know, something about being under this pier in this empty warehouse, wherever it was that this was, it didn't feel like a Hangman environment. So it felt like a little more hollow and a little less human, which is Hangman's specialty, is feeling like human in his promos. And something about this just made it feel more music video-ish than it should have been. But like the content of the promo itself was great. And this match is going to be great. I wish it wasn't on an 18-hour long show, but like it's going to be great.
Yeah, I really hope it doesn't get lost in the length of that show. But that is just something that we will discuss on our prediction show, which will be coming out later this week. James, do you agree with Danny that this wasn't as good as Mox, or do you agree with that tweet that Producer Boy just put up, that the juxtaposition of these two things was actually a good thing for each man?
Oh, wait, I want to put one more thing because you said juxtaposition. That really kickstarted something in my brain. But I do get that. It almost felt like Hangman was almost doing it like in let me do your type of thing. But he's just not as good at it. But it did feel like almost he was like, oh, let me do almost a Moxley style promo. But he just didn't do as good a job, I think. Okay, but anyway, man. James, go on. James, yeah, what did you think?
I liked it. I agree. Moxley's was much better, much better. But it's also kind of hard to not like Moxley's better when you have like the special effects of the pouring blood on the floor, like the drips just sprinkling all over the floor of the steps.
Yeah, it's cheating a little.
Yeah, it's cheating. And granted, I think Hangman's best promo was when he was like he had the staples in his head, and then he's just like ripping them out and then punching his head like that. Like blood makes a promo good. Yeah, I think it speaks to who both men are, for better or for worse. Hangman has never really been one whose best quality is being able to speak. And I'm not even making a promo joke there. I'm talking about the fact that Hangman has always been very consumed by his emotions, and he hasn't always known how to express them. And I think this is a good instance of that, or at the very least, that's my headcanon to make it better. And I'm not worried about this match falling in the cracks of the pay-per-view on Sunday, because they've already proven 3 times already that they can, 2.5 times, that they can have a really good, strong match. And I'm sure Sunday is going to be the same. It's going to be another good, strong match. And I think people are going to respond to that, especially if we do get a heel turn, a true heel turn from Moxley, which is a possibility. So, yeah,
I'm expecting that at this point.
I am too, to a degree. It's also something to note that it is very possible the BCC, as we know it, may end, because it definitely feels like Claudio and Wheeler are going to be Ring of Honor talent more than they will be AEW talent. And with Ring of Honor starting tomorrow, we could just see them sort of break away from one another. Bryan is already doing his own thing. Moxley has never really needed anybody. And the other two do feel like the biggest unit of the group that we've proven just by the Battle Royal tonight.
Yeah,
Again,
and Regal's in the hospital,
Never going to show up anywhere ever again. Ever. Not just in a year, but ever.
I still don't mind if they do it where they're still the BCC, but it's still just a loose affiliation and they're always not interacting with each other and they're more just training partners. But with the way that Claudio and Wheeler are going, and with the way that Moxley's going, with the increased violence and the heel tendencies, I do think the 3 of them will probably stick together. Maybe we don't see as much of Claudio and Yuta as they go on to Ring of Honor shows, but I think they'll still have some sort of affiliation together. It just seems to make sense to me. I don't know. We'll see. Let's move on. Go back up the card to what James was mentioning before, which was the Elite. They came out. Kansas hit. Then the lights went off. The lights came back on. The House of Black was behind them. The lights went off again. There's a scuffle. Lights come back on. The Elite's down. The House of Black is holding their titles. And the lights go off and everybody disappears. It was about 30 seconds, and James is pissed.
It feels like it's a rib. It feels like it's a rib on the fans. It feels like it's a rib on the Elite. It feels like for anybody, I feel the worst for House of Black here. The Elite will find a screen to be on somewhere, whether it's BTE or Rampage or wherever.
Or
I feel like
SmackDown.
Give it till 2024. That's going to be the true bidding war of 2024. I'm not worried about them, even though I don't like the fact that the champions aren't on the main show of their company. But the House of Black they are not being given anything here. I went from the moment the Elite won the titles, well, they're just going to lose it to the House of Black, to now thinking, well, the House of Black are going to lose and no one's even going to remember that this happened next year. And even if the House of Black do win, which, again, a possibility, I'm not hyped for it anymore. Ow. I'm not hyped for it at all. Like, at all. And that's not because the Elite are going to lose. I'm cool with them losing because, quite frankly, I want Singles Kenny back. But it's just a bummer. And, yeah, it is the biggest heel move. But I don't get it. The only explanation I can have is if something big is coming for both teams after this match on Sunday. and we're going to be getting a lot of Elite coming up. That's the only way I could really imagine, or a lot of House of Black coming up. But yeah. I just don't know.
This does kind of go back into what we were saying before about we're not watching Rampage. A lot of this did happen on Rampage, so I imagine seeing the entirety of this storyline, this might have been better, this segment, but having not seen it, and quite frankly, having what I've read about it, it hasn't been much more than this anyway.
And that's kind of the point, too. You're right. The majority of what the story has been on Rampage. They haven't done that much on Rampage either. I think it started like 2 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. It's lights off, House of Black, lights off again, they're gone. Like for 3 weeks now. That's been the build to this. I think maybe the Elite got jumped somewhere in there, but honestly, I haven't seen much build outside of Brandon Cutler accidentally turning off the lights on BTE. Like, there really hasn't been much to this, which is a shame because I think we were all really hyped. Exactly, JD. I think we were all really hyped about this feud, and we were all kind of thinking, oh, yeah, House of Black taking the belts off the Elite here would be awesome because these guys are great, and we all think they need a push, but I don't know now because we haven't been able to discern anything just due to the absolute lack of a build. It's been really weird, Danny.
You know, it's funny when about a year ago when Cody left AEW, Omega did that interview with Meltzer, and he acknowledged the Codyverse, or I think they called it Cody Island, but it's the same thing. And said, like, the guy's like in a world of his own, and like he's kind of doing his own thing, and pretty much acknowledged the criticism of the Codyverse and him not reading the room very well, and almost dragging people in his vortex. And that's literally what the Elite are doing with the exact same guy, Malachi Black.
So maybe it wasn't a Cody thing. Maybe it's a Malachi thing,
or maybe it's an EVP thing.
I don't know about
that's the other common denominator.
Right. I mean, this didn't happen with Top Flight. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it didn't happen with their jobber. Of course, great defense. Yeah,
no, it is a defense. The jobber team got it onto the flagship show. The House of Black is stuck on Rampage. I don't think that's an Elite problem. I think that's a House of Black problem where 200,000 people are watching them, and that's it.
They've been on Rampage pretty much since they got back. I mean,
yeah,
they came back they jumped a bunch of jobbers it was a lumberjack match. And then they started a feud with Eddie Kingston and Ortiz for some reason to break them apart, which we saw.
Which they did.
Tonight. Yeah.
They did.
And then now they're fucking with the Elite on Rampage. I mean, that's all we've got. So.
Yeah, I think ultimately maybe it's a Tony Khan problem, but
everything booking wise is a Tony Khan problem because he's the only booker.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like, also you're defending them when they're about to beat they're about to kill like this faction, or they're gonna lose, which is great. But then why did they beat Death Triangle? What was the point of any of this? And now like I'm genuinely like, what was the point of them coming back? Like,
at all?
Yeah.
Why did they come back to AEW?
Why didn't they just work behind the scenes or something? Or I don't know, man. I'm saying this jokingly somewhat and to get under your skin a little bit, James. Like, I'd rather have Punk than all three of them right now. And I'm only being mildly hyperbolic when I say that. But I agree with what you said before. I'm like, I'd rather have singles Kenny and a tag team Young Bucks than this trio right now. And it's not even close. Like,
I would rather that. I agree with you. I would, and it's not even close anymore. I would rather singles Kenny. I think the tag team division needs the Young Bucks back.
Yeah.
Like, I think the tag team division needs them back. But I can't say I'm not enjoying, like, every match they've had, the best of 7, the matches with Top Flight and AR Fox, the match that they're going to have with House of Black, no matter who wins, they're going to be great. They have been great, and it will be great. But it just feels so pointless. And I don't know if that's just because it's the Trios title, because truth be told, even when Death Triangle had the titles, it felt pointless too. But man, it feels like a bummer. It feels like a real bummer, and I want Punk back, but not at the expense of the Elite. But we don't got to get into that again.
Yeah. No, like that's the thing is, it shouldn't have to be one or the other, and I think we're getting to a point where it's not going to be one or the other. Now people are finally addressing it, but I agree. What was the point of any of this? And to what Eric said, that he read that the trio style should be more about fun and less about story. Cool. What's more fun than getting them off the fucking bosses and putting them on a trios that needs something, anything?
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, we've all been here for House of Black winning these titles. We just wanted a little more ramping up to it.
Kenny versus Buddy Matthews is a match I wanted since Buddy was in WWE. Malachi Black versus Merch Freak Nick Jackson, fantastic.
Only Nick uses his magic.
Exactly. And Matt could take the loss against Brody. I don't care. But it would have been cool to see those matchups happen. And AEW just didn't want to give it to us. I don't get it. I've seen more of Kenny on Renee's podcast or Swerve's podcast than I've seen of him on Dynamite. And that just feels wrong.
Yeah, they've been MIA on Dynamite recently, which, fine. You're trying to pop ratings on Rampage. Okay, but
it ain't working.
Why would you put the Elite on Rampage then?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but like you said, it's not working. And I mean, don't get mad when we complain that we're not seeing enough of Kenny and the Young Bucks on Dynamite. It is what it is. All right.
I think I speak for everyone when I say move on immediately after I finish the sentence, Rev. But I think I speak for everyone when I say CM Punk did nothing wrong. Anyway, Rev, you were saying
did everything wrong.
That is
Jungle Babyface Jungle Boy agrees. CM Punk did everything wrong. Babyface Jungle Boy, who's done nothing wrong in his entire career.
Moving on. Next up, we have the Face of the Revolution ladder match. I'm just going to run down some of the highlights here because a lot happened in this match. Eddie Kingston and Ortiz right at the... Get that.
I hate you guys so much.
We here at the Mark It Down podcast do not endorse whatever somebody just wrote.
What Mark It Down wrote?
Anyway.
I don't speak for the big corporation that is Mark It Down.
We good?
Nick is so flabbergasted.
I took it down.
But before you go through the highlights, maybe tell who was in the match, because a lot of these names were surprises to me.
Well, all right. I think I mentioned all of them, but Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, a luchador named Commander, who I assume was local, Powerhouse Hobbs, Action Andretti, Sammy Guevara, Takeshita, and I think that was it. Oh, and did I say Action Andretti?
If you did, I forgot, which speaks a lot about Action Andretti.
But I think that was it. Oh, and AR Fox. There you go. There's your eighth man. Okay, so like I said, let me just run down some of the highlights here because a lot of stuff happened. Eddie Kingston and Ortiz just battled into the brack right at the start. We never saw them again. They disappeared. They died on their way back to their home planet. Commander did a really cool spot where after a couple of topes from I think it was from a couple of other guys, he ran across the top rope all the way from the far side of the ring towards the ramp, jumped off and springboarded onto everybody, which was awesome. After hitting Powerhouse Hobbs with a chair, AR Fox Fox was grabbed by Hobbs and he was just slammed onto a bridge ladder. And then a few moments later, he took an SSP from Commander on it. So shout out AR Fox. He got the shit kicked out of him there. Action Andretti hit a Falcon Arrow on Sammy Guevara onto another bridge ladder, which looked nasty as hell. I don't think Sammy landed right.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say he hit a Falcon Arrow onto another ladder?
Yeah.
Because that's not what happened. He hit a Falcon Arrow and missed the ladder entirely.
I don't know.
That was a terrible, terrible botch.
It was. The back of Sammy's head. The back of Sammy's head might have hit that ladder. That was bad.
And
cool. The one part not supposed to hit the ladder.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was
because
ugly.
the weight overshot, so he got pulled down too. It was.
I think we're all arguing on the same side here.
Yeah, we all agree it was a botch, but
hell.
I feel like we got to be saying it with the negative connotation because it was bad.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. What else do we have?
Not even Sammy Guevara deserves that.
Takeshita hit Commander with a Blue Thunder Bomb off the ladder. After that, he went up, and then him and Andretti were fighting at the top of the ladder underneath the brass ring. And then Daniel Garcia came out from the back, and he knocked them both off the ladder. Guevara and Garcia then set up some more ladders, and Sammy hit a senton off the top onto another ladder onto Andretti. The two of them, Garcia and Guevara, that is, then went into the ring, and Garcia started pushing Sammy up the ladder, but Takeshita came and knocked them both off. And he starts climbing the ladder, and he's knocked off by Powerhouse Hobbs, who decides to just shoulder block the fucking thing and borderline break it in half. Takeshita gets knocked off, and then Powerhouse Hobbs starts to climb the ladder, realizes it's broken, and instead of getting another one, just has 3 referees hold it down.
It might have been 4. It might have been 4.
It was 4 when he was getting down.
Yeah, because he broke the fucking ladder, and then he went up and grabbed the brass ring to win the Face of the Revolution match. After the match, Hobbs started walking up the ramp to stare down Joe. When Wardlow came out, security spilled out from backstage to try to keep the two separated. And when Wardlow starts attacking security, which I'm sure James loved, Joe is able to slip away. And when Wardlow notices this, he gets really pissed, takes one of the security guards, and power bombs him off the stage onto a stack of other security guards. So, Danny, I agree. Boo to Eddie and Ortiz immediately battling into the back and not showing up. I don't know why I'm looking at Lois Griffin going down a fucking thing. No, I'm just going to ignore all of these for the rest of the show.
I think
anyway,
it's for the best.
Yeah, I liked this match. It was really cool. It was a bunch of really cool spots. I'm here for Hobbs winning. I think the guy needs a push as usual. I always think Hobbs needs a push, but it's something to do. And Hobbs ended up winning in his hometown, which I thought was really cool.
Shit, man. I don't think I can match your positivity here, but
You rarely can.
Which is weird because you don't have a seemingly positive personality, but yeah, here we are every week. But okay, I'm gonna try to be somewhat. Nope. I didn't like the Eddie Ortiz thing. Well, it was pointless. Do more with Eddie, please, and not on Rampage and not on pre-shows of pay-per-views. Dude is fucking too legit for this. Yes, you can rep me real quick.
Do you think the Eddie AEW tension is legit, or do you think it's like just scripted?
I think it's 30% legit, 70% scripted. But you know that's late, especially like if you're gonna do that, have them come back out at the end of the match. Doesn't mean they have to win. Just have the brawl come back out. Like how good of a pop would that have gotten if that brawl just comes back in later in the match?
Going on backstage, right? Like all we heard was Excalibur saying, "Oh, they pulled them apart, and that's all we've got." And it's like, okay, that's it. We didn't see the pull apart. Yeah. We didn't see them brawl backstage. We saw nothing. It was just a side note from Excalibur. Like, you gotta give us more than that out of this.
Yeah. Positive. I don't know who the fuck Commander was, but oh my god, amazing spots.
Yeah.
In this match. Positive. AR Fox, I thought was great in this match. A big fan of him in this match. Like you said, he took a lot of brutal spots, but I thought he looked good too. Sammy is always gonna kill it with the spot. I'm so sorry, James. But
I know God, it was coming.
Dude, that swanton off the that was the most effortless thing I've ever seen in my life. That shit aged Jeff Hardy 30 fucking years. Like that was literally like nothing. That was him like falling onto a bed. Like that's how comforted he looked while he was doing it.
That's how he's always done them though. He goes more for the fall, like almost like a leap of faith from Assassin's Creed.
That's what Jeff did. That's what Jeff did with the ladder swantons too. It was never a jump. It was always I'm falling forward. Yeah. He's falling with style.
But maybe you can aim better doing that, and that's why they do it.
Or because it's just effortless for him.
Yeah,
but
yeah, just fall.
That being said, I do think Sammy isn't always the best at selling in these matches, but you know, maybe I'm still bitter about the singles ladder match that happened a fucking year ago. But So that's a positive. Sammy was great. I actually liked Garcia's involvement in this. I thought that was good. I loved, like you said, Hobbs running through the ladder. That was a very unique thing where I literally thought, I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen that before. Like, that's a unique spot in a ladder match in a company like AEW where you think they've done everything in these sorts of matches. That was unique to me anyway. Maybe it's been done before, but
I've never seen somebody break it like that.
but fucking everything else, that Falcon Arrow botch is borderline, bro. And Andretti's too green, bro. You gotta slow it down with this guy. That was so bad. That could have. You're lucky Sammy's young. He's at the Darby Allin age of like, bro, I'm doing shit that would kill me 15 years from now. If Jeff Hardy missed that ladder, he's dead. If Matt Hardy missed that ladder, he's
dust.
Yeah,
he's dust at that.
Yeah, point. Like that's one of the you only get away with being young. Otherwise, that's not how it works. Me and James would be crippled from that. Rev 2. The three of us would be crippled from that. If one of us took that bump, the three of us would be crippled from that. But so that really blew for me. And then the ending was so, like, the spot was so cool. But then I don't know. I guess I don't know if you guys saw this, but like, bro, this man was terrified to climb this ladder, bro. Like, I don't know if he's scared of heights, but that's the impression I got after this because he was so ginger climbing up it. And then the refs, bro, like, I get it, but like, in WWE, it's happened a couple times, but like they're subtle about it. Like the ref is like laying on the mat. Like I think AEW's done it before too, where the ref is like laid out, but then they're holding the ladder while they're like there's subtle ways to do it, but they just obnoxiously slid into the ring, held it down, and there's also on the cameraman or the producer, not like our producer, boy, he would have never fucked up like this, but like don't show them. Cut to a high angle where you don't see the bottom of the ladder. Like there's so many better ways to do it. And then he gets up, he stands on the very, very top of the ladder, which is like, we saw how much you struggle getting up there. How do you think that's a good idea? And then when he's going to get down, he's gently, understandably though, but gently reaching down, slowly doing it. You could hear him, you could see his lips moving, saying, hey, grab this from me so I can catch my balance. And then like they do a picture in picture. Don't do a picture in picture. Just show the replays full screen. Like, and it's so simple. This was such a simple fix to like all the hype of him winning, him looking like a badass was undone by him needing help by 4 people to hold a ladder down so he can slowly get down. Where now I feel like he's scared of heights, where he may not be, but now I feel that way. And I don't know if we're going to be able to unsee that, where I'm just going to think, yeah, this guy's tough, but you put him on a roller coaster, he ain't shit. Like,
I don't think it was so much as heights as it perhaps was that he did break the ladder. And
cool, get another ladder. There's a bigger ladder right outside the ring.
He probably should have, but I think what ended up happening was he maybe wasn't supposed to. And instead of thinking like that, he was like, oh, I have to go up now because if I take too long getting another ladder, then, it's going to look ridiculous. So he just went up and didn't audible to a different ladder or something. I feel like he probably wasn't supposed to break it and just go up. And then he was like, fuck, I got to do this. And he was just scared of the ladder collapsing because he's a big fucking dude on a broken ass ladder. Like,
I understand that. Real quick, Navarro, I actually think you bring up a good point that I kind of agree with and we'll talk about later when we get to that portion of the show. But
what's up, Navarro?
But real quick, oh my God, get it together, man. See what I mean? But I think now we've had enough. I don't like ladder matches being on TV. They're just this match. If this match was on pay-per-view, I probably would have thought it would have just been better. Not only would I have thought it was better, it would have actually just been better. Certain matches do not work on TV. Ladder matches are one of the main ones. You cannot do ladder matches on TV. Like, I'm sorry, they're not good on TV.
I disagree because
I do too.
Had some great ladder matches on TV. Jeff Hardy, Undertaker comes to mind immediately off the top of my head. But you could have put this on the pre-show and it would have been fine.
Well, I think that's even worse if I'm being honest. It's a ladder match.
Worse, but yeah.
It's a ladder match. Ladder matches are meant to be big deals, going all the way back to Shawn versus Razor. They are meant to be big deal matches, high stakes, high risk, high reward matches. I don't think they shouldn't be on TV, but I do think if you're going to put them on free TV, you put it in the main event.
Yeah, okay, I could agree with that.
And it's not something that should happen like every other month or so. Ladder matches should be every few months if they're maybe. And there needed to have been build. Like, personally, I think the biggest fault of this match, other than, again, another case of, wow, this is happening tonight, none of these men qualified for this match. When the hell was the last time Hobbs was on TV?
Couldn't tell you. But man, does he not look as badass as he did like before this? Just looking at this footage right now, like, come on, bro, that's so easy.
Definitely too short. It was definitely too short.
The ladder was too short, so he needed to really get up there to catch that thing.
Yeah, and
coming down, I don't like. That's not my image of Powerhouse Hobbs now. Like, I don't think of him as the guy who couldn't come down the ladder. But that was
But you should.
It spoiled his moment, which was already being spoiled by Wardlow coming out and confronting Joe, which I get why you need to do because that's the match at the pay-per-view.
But this is also teasing a variation of a match we've already seen. It's literally the same three guys.
Exactly.
How do we go from Darby bringing the TNT title back up a little bit to the same three fucking guys?
I really want Hobbs to win just because I want that feud. If that feud is going to continue, I don't want the TNT title.
Which Hobbs and Wardlow goes back to the fucking ladder match last year.
Oh, I have a feeling that Joe's winning, but we'll save that for the prediction show. Yeah, man, I don't know.
Let me ask you guys this: if this was on the pay-per-view,
yes,
would you guys not be complaining when the show was an extra half an hour long and you could have been like, "Oh, you could have cut this and done"?
I'll be honest with you. I am never one to actually complain about how long a pay-per-view goes.
We'll see this Sunday when I'm a terrible house guest because it's been 8 hours and I'm fucking cranky.
Fucking 1 o'clock in the morning. We're just starting our live. It's gonna be a mess. All right, let's move on real quick then. So after this, we had a quick backstage interview with the Best Friends. Apparently, Chucky T and Trent were not medically cleared to compete for some reason. So Danhausen says that he and Orange are going to step in. Renee asked Orange, who was getting checked out by the doctor for his title match earlier, whether or not he was good enough to go, and he said that he didn't care. After that, we had Chris Jericho versus Pretty Peter Avalon. As we all know, the wingmen equal ratings. Avalon actually looked really good in this match. He took it to Jericho early and often. He had a tope. He had a pretty nice swinging DDT, and Jericho was able to kick out of both. Kicked out of the crossbody, not the tope. After the tope, Avalon put him into the steps. Anyway, Avalon's getting really good offense in, and then Jericho just hits a code breaker out of nowhere and wins. So, sorry, Peter. After the match, Jericho grabbed Floyd the Bat and started kicking the shit out of Avalon until Ricky Starks comes down for the save. Jericho grabs a mic, and he says that even though the JAS is banned from ringside on Sunday, doesn't mean they aren't here now. Hager and Garcia show up, 3-man beatdown. They just kick the shit out of Starks, and there you go. And it ends with the Judas effect from Jericho onto Starks. So, good for Pretty Peter Avalon for getting on Dynamite, but I mean, this was just typical heels beat down the good guy before the pay-per-view match, right, James? So
I don't care about this anymore. There was I just don't. If we're gonna be honest, highlight of this whole segment was Pretty Peter's new haircut.
Agreed. It does look good.
I think he looks beautiful. But just to give perspective, I'm super happy for Powerhouse Hobbs getting the title shot next week. Look what Ricky Starks is doing.
Yeah, that should be Ricky. And I love Hobbs, but Ricky should be gunning for a title somewhere right now.
It's just a bummer. It's just a real bummer. And even if Ricky wins on Sunday, which that's actually a big if when it comes to Jericho feuds. Great. You are exactly where you were 2 months ago when you beat him the first time. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. I feel bad. I really feel bad, but whatever.
So I think the best way, because I don't have much to say about this because I'm kind of in the same boat as James. But I could describe this the same way I could describe the House of Black lead segment, which is with our new reoccurring bit on this show. Could this have just been replaced with a women's match? And the answer to both is yes. This did absolutely nothing. Didn't further anything. The only person I'm happy for is Peter. Everyone else, I feel bad for. But yeah, could have been a women's match. Don't care. Whatever.
I would also just like to comment on Navarro's comment about them doing Starks versus MJF too early. I think in hindsight, we can agree with that. But at that point, the feud with MJF is what really put Ricky on another level.
Yeah.
So while in hindsight, it's like, oh my God, I would have actually loved if Ricky Starks took the title off MJF. I think we can agree now that Ricky needed that feud to get over with the crowd even more so than he already was. Yeah. But I would be very happy to see that feud re-explored in the future.
I'm still saying people smell like paint thinner and ass. I love that feud.
Oh, no, I love that feud. I love that feud. But I understand people being disappointed when Ricky feels like he could have been a great talent to take the title off MJF.
Yeah, and they could go back to it, but I think Navarro's got a point where you have that feud, and then you have him in the TNT championship picture, and you probably have him winning.
Navarro.
You capitalize on that momentum, and so they capitalized that momentum and fed him to Jericho, which, as we all know, is kind of becoming a Codyverse in its own right, where you get stuck just feuding with the JAS for months on end with seemingly no end in sight, and no one really comes out looking any better. So it's annoying. I think they completely misplayed Ricky after his feud with MJF. But that is a discussion for another time. After that, we had the Hangman promo, which we did mention earlier. And then we had a Christian Cage in-ring interview with Renee Paquette. So Renee asked Christian why he still got such a problem with Jungle Boy. And Christian pretty much just said that Jungle Boy will be a singles champ in 2023 over his dead body, saying that he wants to win a singles championship. Christian thinks that Jungle Boy doesn't have the guts to win a title by doing whatever is necessary, like beating somebody down or cutting corners. And instead he wants to win by roll-up or whatever, some tricky little tactic. Unlike Christian, who will do anything to win in this business and continue to use it as an ATM. Which I think he said ATM machine, which is redundant, but I digress. Christian then challenges Jungle Boy to a fight on Sunday where there's no rules, saying that Jungle Boy won't be able to win because he's as weak as his father, who was lucky that he had good looks to barely make it in Hollywood. The lights then go out, and we cut to a video package of Jungle Boy emotionally digging a grave with cuts of his history with Christian thrown on top of it until there's a tombstone revealed to have the name Christian Cage on it. Renee goes to ask Christian about this, and Christian just immediately fucks off. So, Danny, I will go to you first because Christian is the face in this.
Yeah, obviously. And, I feel like...
And it's funnier when...
I didn't interrupt you this time, so you're welcome. But, oh, man, what a promo. It's so great to have Christian back. It's literally like we have two MJFs now. It's just fantastic, except this is the version of MJF that was turning babyface. Christian is the babyface MJF because he's cutting the promos that people are too scared to cut, and he is putting this little snot-nosed motherfucker in his place. And oh my God, first of all, as Christian told it, Jungle Boy sucker punched him, attacked him from behind last week like a fucking coward. And then he didn't even have the balls to finish the job. So Christian had to show him how to do it. Once again, he's still, even when he hates him, he's still teaching Jungle Boy lessons. That's how good of a mentor Christian is. That's how noble of a babyface this guy is.
Stepping in for Jungle Boy's father.
Yeah, exactly. He is he's really playing the role. And, what is it about the Oedipus complex? You want to kill your dad so you can, bang your mom. That makes sense because basically Christian and Jungle Boy are fighting over who gets to bang Jungle Boy's mom. And that's the the crux of the feud.
That might be a bridge too
But,
far there.
Look, man, I'm not a psychology major, but I think it all checks out. But Jungle Boy had the fucking nerve. This little fucking rugrat, this little stop motion animated unrealistic cartoon of a fucking human boy, Pinocchio fucking wishes, has the nerve to once again, like a dastardly heel, fucking steal someone else's spotlight and steal someone else's thing and try to get over it. He tried to suck the coolness from Hook, right? And he's trying to act tough and act like he's not a little softy. Like you can't insult him once and he'd start crying. He tries to act like he's a tough guy. Now he's stealing Darby Allin's fucking... Yo, leave that shit to fucking Darby. Leave the video essays, the school projects, to fuck the home movies to Darby, bro. I can't take you seriously doing that shit. You're a fucking child. All I can think of was like, who let this kid into the cemetery? Like, bro, like without parental supervision. Like, he still has one parent that could have taken him there. Like, what the hell, man? He should not. I could not take him seriously. And you're stealing Darby's thing, man. What a fucking dick. Like, what? How low will this guy go? Apparently 6 feet fucking under. Like, the hell is wrong with this man? Stealing Darby's thing. He's leeching off of everybody now. He's leeching off the other pillars. What's he gonna do next, bro? MJF, you're not safe. He's gonna start wearing a fucking Burberry scarf next week. Like, at this rate. He's gonna be a dentist now. Like, what's he gonna do next? Like, what else is he gonna take from other people? I just don't get it. I don't get it, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a sucker and I just like all the baby faces. Like, and like I don't know. But like, I don't get what you guys see in this guy like as a heel. Like, I don't get it. What's the appeal here?
James, defend your boy.
Is it worth it though? Like, one compelling argument, I suppose. I don't even know. Let me ask: Is Jungle Boy irredeemable to you guys?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think if he follows the teachings of Christian a bit more, perhaps he could come around. But
so, if Christian was doing this to anybody else, would Christian be the good guy?
I mean, if Christian was being a good guy to anyone else, would he be the good guy? I don't understand the question. What?
Yeah, he's trying to help Jungle Boy. I think if he was trying to help somebody else, yeah, I think he'd be in the right there.
Okay, sure.
I love this bit.
I hate it so much. Because what's going to happen is Jungle Boy's finally going to win a singles title, and it's going to be this amazing feel-good moment. And I'm going to, like, instead of being happy, I'm going to have to friggin' defend it to you guys. It's going to be friggin' awful. And you know what? Like, I think we saw the comment before. Christian winning the title, and then Jungle Boy winning it from Christian.
Sorry, I genuinely thought that's where this was going when Jungle Boy was digging. I wasn't sure like what it had to do. I was like, why is he going for his father?
Oh man, I mean, see. Okay, right now, Jungle Boy could have won me over if he said, "You want to be my new dad? Well, here you go." That would have fucking 100% won me over. But you know, I mean, if Jungle Boy wins the title, it has to be like 8 years from now, I guess. But I don't know. We'll see when it happens. Like, heels can win titles. That's okay. Like, it's not like heels never should win titles. We have a great heel champion now. What happened next, Ref?
Wait, just one last thing. How much of an asset is Christian to AEW right now? He feels
unbelievable.
He's so good.
But like on a 2-level like way of thinking about this. One, compare him to the person he's always going to be connected to, Edge, and what Edge is doing for WWE, which not great. And two, remember how disappointed people were when Christian debuted because of how he was advertised?
Yeah.
And how people were wrong they were. And how
exactly. Like thank God he's delivering in the way he is now. And truth be told, even when he was a babyface, even when he started as a babyface, before he was a babyface now.
Yeah, before he turned even more babyface. Yeah.
Yeah, before Jungle Boy turned on him.
Before he was great and just doing. Can we stop? All right, never mind. Let's just go. I'm done.
All right, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I don't care about the rest of the show, so we can blow through it.
Yeah. So after this, we had a quick backstage interview with Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, where they said that they'll be keeping an eye on the Toni Storm versus Rio match later in the night to make sure that Saraya isn't up to her usual shenanigans. And then Britt says that Saraya should have a front row seat to the match between two former champions because that's the closest she's going to get to the title. After this, we had another title match, which was Hook versus Matt Hardy for the FTW Championship. Danny was not kidding. He is totally done. I'm just kidding. He's going to let his cats out. Hook had the early advantage in the match until they went to the outside. And as he rolled Matt Hardy back into the ring, Ethan Page shoved Hook into the ring post. Hardy was able to take advantage and hit a side effect after throwing Hook into the corner, but Hook was able to kick out. Both men then run at each other and collide their heads together. And when this happens, Hook is near the ropes. So Stokely takes his cast off, revealing that he's okay, and has Ethan Page hit Hook in the head with it as the referee is distracted, checking on Hardy. Hardy went for the pin, but Hook was able to kick out. Then Hardy picks Hook up for the twist of fate. Hook reverses it into a red rum, and Matt Hardy taps immediately. And now Hook apparently gets to face off against Stokely Hathaway in a no DQ match with the firm ban from ringside. So, sorry, Stoke, you're going to die now? That's all I pretty much have for this. But it was fun. Hook won. All right. Matt Hardy was on TV. Hooray. James?
No comment.
Yeah. Is Matt a heel now, or is he a tweener?
I think Matt
is
is infiltrating the firm. That's the best I got.
I think the firm has infiltrated Matt, but...
Well, I think it's one of those things where Matt is trying to pretend that he likes the firm and do their bidding in order to try to take them down from the inside. But we'll see if that, playing a part for so long, he ends up falling into it and becoming that actual person. We'll see. I don't know. Another storyline that's mostly on Rampage and Dark that we don't really see too much of on Dynamite. But I digress. After that, we had the House of Black come back. They had a promo, and hey, look, it's Matt and Isaiah. Anyway, they had a promo. They still had the titles from when they jumped the Elite earlier. They pretty much just left the titles there and said, we don't need them. We're going to kick your ass on Sunday anyway, and we'll get them back then. So that was that. And then we had Toni Storm versus Rio. This was actually a good match. I really enjoyed it. The two women had a solid back and forth in the beginning of the match until Toni knocked Rio to the outside with a hip attack, and then Saraya hit Rio with a running knee. This prompted Britt and Jamie to come out and keep an eye on things, as they said they would do earlier. We came back from commercial with Rio knocking Storm to the outside and hitting a diving crossbody off the top rope. Rio then hit a diving stomp and a Northern Light suplex back in the ring, but Toni Storm was able to kick out. Toni then the two of them ended up on the top rope, and Toni was able to counter a top rope power bomb and send Rio into the far corner, and then she was able to land a hip attack, and Rio kicks out of that. Storm then locks in the Texas Cloverleaf, but Britt jumps up onto the apron to distract Toni, and she releases the hold. As Toni steps to Britt and Britt jumps down, Rio uses the distraction to roll up Toni Storm and pick up the win. After the match, Storm throws a shot in at Rio and then goes to the outside to fight Britt. And then Jamie and Saraya get into the ring, and they start duking it out until Ruby Soho comes down and just absolutely lays out Saraya with a right hand. And just when Jamie thinks she's okay, Ruby hits her with a right hand, and the three women brawl until they're all pulled apart by refs and stuff. So, James, like I said, I enjoyed the match. It sets up the triple threat for Sunday fairly well. Anytime I get to see Rio on TV, I'm happy. And Rio got the win, which makes me even happier.
I'm constantly needing to remind myself how over Riho is.
Everybody loves her.
Everybody loves her. Like, I love her too. But I'm just constantly reminded, because she goes away for months at a time, and then she comes back, and the love is just insane. It's like she never left. And it's an incredible gift to have as a wrestler, to be able to connect with your audience the way she does. And if she stuck around long enough, I would love for her to go for the women's title. Hell, I unpopular opinion, I'd love for her to take on Jade for the TBS title, just because I love Rio. But excellent match. Shouldn't be surprised that it was an excellent match.
Yeah, because Tony Storm's in it.
And Rio's in. I mean, the both of them are great wrestlers.
I'm gonna believe. Sure, sure, why not? I won't argue. I guess I don't know, but I do think I love the dynamic of Ruby sort of just taking her own stance. She's not picking a side. It is muddying the overall story, though. I don't like. Is this a feud about the championship, or is this a feud about homegrown versus, I guess, imported imported talent? And
yes.
Before you say anything, I just mean imported from other companies, not imported
from other countries. You said what? I'm sorry.
Technically, both are true.
I'm focusing on the company part.
Wow, you hate imports.
James only drives American.
I don't even know if that's true, but I really hope that's not. I don't think that's true, but anyway, it's yeah. I don't know. I think there needs to. I think this could have been a feud on its own with the title being involved in a different feud. But again, to go back to Danny's favorite question every week, could this have been a women's segment? Instead, I think. Yeah, like earlier in the night, just make it two different friggin' feuds. But whatever. I
was gonna say, could this be I thought you were saying could this be a women's segment. I was like, this is the women's segment, James.
No, but just the idea that it could have been two different feuds for women on TV.
It could have been two different
on
segments
the same show. Yeah.
Instead of them jamming two things into one. You still have Britt and Tony, and then you have Saraya and Jamie and Ruby Soho.
Yeah. So you've been pretty consistent with that, Navarro. You have never really been into this feud.
That's fair. I mean,
no judgment on it. No judgment on it. I get it. I do get it.
Danny, what'd you think of this match and the segment as a whole?
I mean, as a whole, real quick, I just want to say I don't understand why, we all have strong beliefs, and then we all have bits sometimes. I don't really believe Christian is a face. Christian is a face. But, James has a bit where he thinks Jungle Boy is the face. And, you stick to that bit, and I get it. I see what's fun about it. It's funny that you do that. It's fun.
Sure.
But why do you have a bit where you hate on Tony? It's so weird because...
It's not really a bit. I've just never really been... impressed with her. I think she is very good in the ring. I just haven't seen
yeah, and I think that's where we all agree. No one's saying she's better than everyone else, but
so you know how AJ Styles is one of the best in the ring, but there are just certain guys he does not really have chemistry with. Kevin Owens is one of he's got a few of those guys. What? Yeah, no, it's weird.
Weird, but
I haven't seen Tony really have great chemistry with anybody she's been in the ring with.
I feel like she had amazing chemistry with Rhea Ripley.
Those are good matches.
And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. And maybe that's just because of how she's having her matches here in AEW. But
I also think she had a really good match with Thunder Rosa at Forbidden Door, but
I thought it was all right. I'm willing to give you that. I am, but I think I was just so let down by the fact that Thunder won that I don't really
absolutely.
That match.
That's fair. I do think the winners and losers are important, but I don't know. I just feel because it would be one thing if she was being overrated, because then I get it. That's what drives that kind of thing. But I'm no one's overrated Toni Storm. And she's one of those people that's almost perfectly balanced. No one's really underrating her. No one's overrating her. She's pretty well rated, I would say. And I think that's the best way I could put it. And then me and Rev just find ourselves defending her all the time.
I don't usually
you and Chad's bit.
I don't usually go out of my way to attack her.
Well, I mean, besides for being foreign, obviously. But that aside, yeah, it's true. I feel that's the main thing. Whereas otherwise, usually let it slide. I think it's pretty even, dude. I think they're pretty like she was a good interim champion. She had good matches during that title run too. And also had both her matches with Hayter were really good.
I loved her matches with Hayter. Also, the NXT to AEW thing, that could just be a stylistic thing. I mean, some people just prefer the way like WWE matches are booked as opposed to AEW matches.
Well, it's also NXT. You can't compare NXT. You can't say WWE is an umbrella because I saw someone with like a hot take where it was like, oh, WWE booked Keith Lee better. And it's like, no, you mean NXT. And even then, I still think that's debatable. But I was like, you can't lump in NXT and WWE because it is just not
fair. But there still is a general match structure that NXT follows in order to get people ready for the main roster. And sometimes that just translates better to certain people's styles and certain people's preferences. So I can see why if you like the WWE style, and Tony's, I think, style of wrestling fits very well in both that style and the AEW style. But if you prefer one over the other, I can see why you would think Tony's run in NXT would be better than her run in AEW. But it's just a preference thing. I think she's had great runs in both.
That small tangent aside,
we don't go on tangents.
See, I'm about to be on the opposite end of what I just said. I really don't get it with Rio. Like, I don't dislike Rio, but that's one where I don't get it, man.
We don't go on tangents.
Yeah, but like I'm more upset that she won. Like, bro, you're not in this feud. You come in, you win. Like, this was some WWE bullshit right here. Like,
I don't think this was about Rio though. That's the thing, because as soon as it was over, she dipped. So if you put anybody else in that spot, it's going to be the same thing. This was about Britt and Jamie screwing Tony, not about Rio winning.
Plus, Rio winning is not that bad because she's a former champion. She's booked very well. I think Taz said she was 21-4 in her last 25 matches. So realistically, Rio could beat Tony straight up in kayfabe. So her getting this win isn't out of the realm of possibility. A, and B, Tony losing to Rio, even though it was because of Britt, which protects her in that sense, it also protects her like on paper in the rankings, where she did lose to a former champion who has been very, very good in the short term.
I don't know if Eric is agreeing with me right now or not, but he said Rio is super over, so when it puts the focus on her, even though it wasn't about her. Yeah, that's not a good thing, right? In this context. But
unless they include her in the feud now.
I guess. But no, my problem is not so much that she won, or it is that she won, but it's also that is the most WWE shit. And they wouldn't do this to the men in AEW. A dude would never lose a match this way by a distraction roll-up, something they basically condemned around the starting of the company. Like, it's literally a weak distraction and a botched roll-up. Like, I don't think you acknowledge that, but that was a very botched roll-up. She was sliding off of Tony's ass, bro. She was not on top of her. Like, that was.
She didn't get the full bridge. She didn't get high enough on the legs. I understand what you're saying.
Like it's not even just that it was botched. It's just the flimsy distraction. Like, that is the most. And I'd say that's the most WWE thing, because WWE does that relentlessly to the women's division. That I'm saying, like, it's
they do it to every division, but
but it's way worse. It's way more of a problem in WWE. It's just, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of this ending. I get it. Like, on paper, it's really not that bad. It's just in execution and in context. I guess I'm being a little bit of like a snowflake about it, but like, it's. Like, they wouldn't have done this in the TNT title feud, like Wardlow wouldn't have lost the match this way, or like Ricky Starks wouldn't lose to Jericho this way. Jericho at least maybe would lose this way, so that's at least something. But Grant Akuma, don't get your hopes up. There's no purpose.
Admittedly, I was surprised the match ended this way with that roll up. I thought Tony was going to kick, and then they called 3, and I was like, oh fuck, they ended it that way. That was I don't want to say it was unique, but it was definitely unique to AEW because they do it so rarely, if ever. We do have distraction finishes, like people will get distracted, get hit with a finisher, and then lose, but you very rarely see the old distraction roll-up. Even if it wasn't a clean roll-up, it was more of a roll-up with the bridge, which I'm sure has a name.
I do think, though, that I do think, though, and I know this isn't going to sound great considering how bad the pin was, I think Rio kind of falls into that Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, like, she wins a lot of her matches with roll-ups. Oh, that was bad. That was bad.
Yeah,
Like, I admit it was bad, but I do think Rio is somebody who wins more of her matches with roll-ups than with, like, a finishing move.
because she's small, which does make sense, but it's not that. It was just it's the distraction roll up, because again, 2 weeks ago I was going on about how great AEW does roll ups because of Darby, because of Cassidy, and Rio could be included in that, but not when it's off of just a terrible distraction. Like, I don't know, this felt very bad WWE women's division booking as opposed to like their good women's division booking. Like, I just wasn't a fan of the execution more so than anything on paper, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But
Yeah,
I think we can talk about this the rest of the night if we wanted to. But let's move on, because we got to get through this tag team casino battle royal, and it's going to take a hot second.
Wait, what does that mean? What did that mean? I didn't understand that tweet.
Yeah, I don't.
We're not gonna waste time on it, I guess.
You're right. Let's ignore it. Anyway, like I said, the tag team casino battle royal took a while, so I'll run through it really quickly. The Dark Order were the first team. They got jumped by the BCC as they were going to enter second, so they got jumped during their entrance. Team 3 was LFJ, which was Roosh and Preston Vance. Roosh and Claudio had another back and forth, so this continues my theory that they're going to fight for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Team 4 was the Lucha Brothers. Penta came out repping Niners colors for George Kittle because they're in San Fran. Team 5 was Aussie Open. After they came out, Dark Order hit their chain moves on Yuta to try to throw him out, but he's saved by Claudio. Aussie Open then grabbed the Dark Order, slammed them together, but the BCC were able to grab them off of the Aussie Open shoulders and from the apron and eliminate them. And then they went outside, I think, during the commercial and like threw them into the barricades or something. It was kind of hard to see because they went picture in picture. Team 6 was 2.0. Team 7 was Top Flight. Team 8, which was the Kingdom, which is Mike Bennett and Matt Taven with Maria. Hello. Then Tony Nese, Ari Daivari, and Josh Woods came out and started attacking the Lucha Brothers, which ended up getting them eliminated. Penta was eliminated by Roosh. I didn't see who eliminated Phoenix. I'm sorry.
They didn't show it.
They missed it. Okay, it's not on you.
Vance and Roosh were then eliminated by Top Flight. Top Flight and Aussie Open get into it. Dante is eliminated when he goes for the nosedive, and Darius is out right after that. Team 9 was Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. And as they're entering, Cool Hand Ange was hanging out under the ring. I missed who eliminated Daddy Magic, but he got eliminated earlier. But Ange was under the ring. He goes after Danhausen, and then Orange tossed him out. And the final team was the Butcher and the Blade, so no FTR rolls. Maria Kanellis then jumped on the apron to distract Aussie Open. She accidentally gets double super kicked by the Kingdom, and then the Kingdom are eliminated by Aussie Open. The BCC then very quickly after that eliminated Aussie Open. The Dark Order came down to distract the BCC, and Yuta ended up getting eliminated by Orange Cassidy. Orange then hits the Orange Punch on Claudio, and he and Danhausen together eliminate him. Then Butcher and the Blade attack Danhausen to take him out and go after the injured Orange Cassidy. As they're attempting to eliminate Orange, Danhausen comes over and tosses the two of them over the top rope to win the Battle Royal and earn the 4th spot in the 4-way tag team championship match on Sunday. After the match, the Guns came down the ramp, and Orange and Danhausen were jumped from behind by Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Eventually, the Acclaim come down for the save, and everybody scatters. All right, so
Okay.
it was very long. It was very busy. It was a bit of a mess, but we got Danhausen and Orange Cassidy in the 4-way match. What?
What? Okay, hold on. I gotta go first.
I'm not mad. I'm just confused.
Okay. First of all, I think having a similar match back-to-back weeks is not a good idea because I didn't give a fuck about this match. And it was just worse than last week's.
It was.
How is a Rumble worse than a regular Battle Royal? That's wild. That makes no sense. But here we are. But the right team won somehow. I didn't know was actually I did catch a little bit of either Dark or Dark Elevation. And I was like, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen are having a match together. Okay. But I Man, I don't know because I'm so happy that Orange Cassidy and Danhausen won because now I have two teams to root for on Sunday. But this match sucked. Why were Aussie Open in this? Why were the Kingdom? Yeah, but like, why were they in it to just be middle of the pack guys? You know, like, why aren't they more? I don't know. I'm not even huge fans of them, but I still think they should be more than what they are in AEW. Why were the Kingdom there? They literally got no reaction. That was one of the few times in AEW history where people got crickets coming out.
That went over like a fart in church. It was just
like that made me uncomfortable. Like, because I've barely ever felt that to have an AEW crowd not react to anything. Like that's a special, unique type of unique right there. But yeah, I don't know. I loved that Danhausen and Cassidy won. I love that Danhausen got to do something. But I will say another misstep in this, I think, and this was criminal. They really fucked up the first interaction between Orange Cassidy and a Blackpool Combat Club member in ring. Like, there should have been a stare down with him and Claudio. I wanted more of that. I want Cassidy to be Claudio for the Ring of Honor title.
While also holding the All Atlantic title.
Yeah, you want him to look like that Triple H meme where he has every title ever created.
Well, I don't want him to hold them all at once, but like he could win the ROH title and then vacate it because it's like, oh, the All Atlantic title's better, you know? Or, you know, he'll move up to the pecking order. He'll win the TNT title and then relinquish the All Atlantic title, and then he'll win the World title and relinquish the TNT title because he just doesn't want to carry that many belts in his back. And it'll be great. Fuck it, just put the tag titles on him at this point. Then it makes sense. You put the title on the Ass Boys so the guy who gave them their name can take everything from them. It makes sense. Otherwise,
the only reason this works. He's right. I'm sorry, James. He's right.
I get it. I get that. I do get that.
But overall, this was a bust.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great, James.
This makes Big Bill look even worse. He couldn't even keep the guy down long enough to not win a second match later on. That's bad. The way the match was booked was just awful. There was no build or suspense to any of the teams coming out. They just did. It's like, oh, okay, the count, like, if there was a countdown clock, I don't even remember it.
There was. It wasn't very noticeable.
It was just bad. Teams were just coming out. There was no excitement.
It's like the Sweet said, they were at random intervals. They were not consistent. One of them was so short. Like the Butcher and Blade coming out after OC and Danhausen was so short, where other ones felt like it was forever.
They waited too long on one of them, and I think they had to get Butcher and Blade out because they were running out of time.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm sorry, James. I didn't mean to.
No, you were right. That was a good point to bring up. This was just a sloppy match. And again, like going back to just the overall problems, like it speaks to how weak the tag team division is. None of these, like most of these teams, if not all of them, not most of them, it wasn't all of them. Most of these teams were in the Battle Royal last week and lost. And now
why were certain teams in it and certain teams weren't?
Like, am I clamoring for Tony Nese and Ari Daivari? No. But what was their like metric for not being in this match? But
why are they feuding with the Lucha Brothers?
It just speaks to how that tag team division is being handled. I'll be honest, I'm kind of turned off by FTR right now, and I don't know if I'm being worked or not. So it's not like I was missing them and I was desperate for them to be in this match tonight. But there was no team in here that I'm like, man, I want this team to win. Oh God, this is like the team that I want to see them go for the titles on Sunday. None of those teams did it for me. And that's no disrespect to Orange Cassidy. That's no disrespect to Danhausen. But if you're going to be in a title match, in a multi-man title match, I want to believe you have a shot at winning. The only reason I think Orange and Danhausen maybe have a shot at winning the titles is because maybe Chucky and Trent are turning heel on them. Maybe. But
because they're both top merch sellers.
And their dicks in real life.
But are you telling me that Orange couldn't have had a all Atlantic title match on Sunday? Like, you could still get him on the card without putting him into the tag title match.
No, I mean he didn't have to be on the card. I'm just saying that they could win because they're top merch sellers. And
that's possible. That is
plausible. It would seem more likely if the Guns didn't win the titles already. It would feel more likely that Cassidy and Danhausen would win than they would.
Yeah,
and it feels more likely. I don't even remember who the other team is besides the Acclaimed. Who's the fourth team who won last week?
Barrett and Jay Lethal.
Yeah, there we go. Actually,
God,
I've won. Yeah, this is the sad part is that it's a Franken team of two of your best merch sellers, but still ultimately not an actual tag team.
They did take on the Indies.
Yeah, according to a tweet that our producer boy showed, they were a tag team on the Indies. That's great, but this should not be my first time seeing them as a tag team. I'm sure they're on Dark or Elevation. I'm sure. I don't care. I don't like.
But that speaks to the state of this tag team division, where you're putting Orange Cassidy, who's a singles title holder, with Danhausen into a four-way match for the tag titles because there wasn't quote-unquote
in this match, Jeff Jarrett is the fifth biggest star in this match. Just so you know.
He's got a point, Sting. Like, he really is.
I just feel like when we talk about the state of divisions in other companies or even in AEW, it's usually because they just don't have the talent to sustain it. That's clearly not the case here. They have teams. They're just not putting any heat on any of them. Like last week, we were so friggin' ready for Chucky and Trent to win that Battle Royal. And then we got robbed of it.
I've almost completely forgot about it, and I was super into that last week. That's how bad of a job they did with this match.
Thank you.
Like, yeah, you're fucking right.
What the like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm happy for Danhausen above anybody else. The man's getting a pay-per-view match. He deserves it. That's great. But what are they doing with this division? A division that they put so much time and effort into in that first and second year of the company.
You know what's crazy? I think it would have been better if it was just Danhausen and Orange Cassidy versus the Ass Boys.
I think so too. I absolutely agree.
Why are the Acclaimed getting the rematch in a multi-team match? That makes no sense. Why are Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal getting another match? That makes no sense. So if you're gonna
if you made it a triple threat, with the Ass Boys, the Acclaimed, and Danhausen, because it could have been one battle royal to decide the number one contenders, and then the Acclaimed were like, "Well, we're cashing in our rematch clause." Why did it need to be a triple threat in the first place? Wait, what happened?
I said rematch clauses haven't existed until now.
Well, no, Moxley got a rematch on Omega after Omega beat him. Right. They just never called it like that, but that's what it was.
It was still just really
Cody
weird
and Sammy.
Yeah, it does happen, but they haven't called it a rematch clause.
Joe and Darby. I was
gonna say, in fact, they've at the start of AEW, they explicitly said that champs don't get rematch clauses. Yeah. So,
which, by the way, I think that's just become a misconception of wrestling bookers, and even the fans, I think, are putting it wrong. It's okay to have a rematch clause. It's just that WWE was having 4 rematches after. It'd be like the guy would lose the first title match, then get a rematch, win it on the second try, and then the champion would get a rematch, lose, and they get another title shot after that. And the feud would go on for 4 to 5 pay-per-views. And that was the issue. If someone wins the title in the first try and then the champion gets a rematch, that's fine. That is okay.
Yes. Danny is absolutely right.
If you look, even if they just said, like, hey, this team negotiated a rematch clause in their contract should they lose, I'm okay with that. If you even look, it was such a stupid fight, but the Jake Paul-Tommy Fury fight over the weekend, like, fuck that fight. But Jake Paul had a rematch clause. If he lost, Tommy Fury didn't.
Neither of those guys sound like they're real people.
Yeah, I don't know. Are either? Bro,
they're not. But my point being, one fighter had a rematch clause if he lost, and the other fighter didn't. Like, you can kayfabe that, hey, certain fighters negotiate for rematch clauses, but no, they just do it at a whim. You know, I'm looking for consistency is all.
I get it.
I completely derailed this with Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. All right.
I mean, WWE megastar Logan Paul's brother. I
Yes.
get what you're going for.
Yeah, and no, it makes sense. Like, you know, Logan Paul's probably top 3 wrestlers in the world right now, so like it's topical in a way.
If it makes you feel any better, Jake Paul lost.
No, I know, by split decision.
Yeah, well,
or supposedly, if that match happened, if they were real people. But,
yeah, I don't.
Lost by more.
Was this like on 2K? Did you get like what? How did this?
Oh, I don't. I'm not going to state for the record how I got this fight. It's through legal means.
Legal memes.
Yes. Let's move on. We had a quick MJF versus Bryan Danielson video package to hype up for their title match on Sunday. And we headed in commercial and came back to Bryan Danielson in the ring with Renee Paquette. Renee says something about how she's going to show, or she showed Bryan a post of MJF's when he was dropping out of college to become a wrestler. And then that never happened. So,
right?
So Bryan,
I thought I was crazy. I really thought I was crazy.
No, she just brought it up. I don't know if she said I showed you that, and then like that.
No. She said we have it,
yeah.
And then it just
and then it never fucking happened. And then Bryan goes into his spiel about letting your dreams work for you and stuff that he said when he came back. And then MJF's music hits and interrupts Bryan. And before MJF can get a word out, Bryan immediately cuts him off and tells him to shut up for once of his life.
Nick, I think we might.
We gotta hear this out.
Oh,
you are going to get your fucking head kicked in.
There you go.
Oh, so much better without being censored.
That was hot. I'm a little turned on right now.
Should have waited until I got there in the recap.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. But he was circling that, and it was good. And I wanted to see it selfishly. I just wanted to hear it.
Anyway, as Bryan cut off MJF and told him to shut up for once in his life, he then goes on to say that MJF thinks he deserves all the things that Bryan has, but he deserves none of them because MJF actually hasn't fought for any of them. He thinks he just is entitled to them. Bryan says the only thing MJF deserves is his wife leaving him because he's a guy pinning shoulders to mats and banging rats, which is a good line. MJF, after that, then makes a move to go after Bryan, but Bryan said he's always ready to fight because he's been fighting for his entire life, and goes on to explain all the things that he's fought. And then Bryan says that MJF better be ready to fight for the full 60 minutes on Sunday, or else he's going to get his fucking head kicked in, as we just heard. This leaves Max stunned, and he turns around and leaves. So, James, very interesting move, not having possibly the best talker in the company talk the go-home show before his 60-minute Iron Man title match. But I think it was actually the right move.
Absolutely.
As weird as that sounds, it was such a great change of pace here. Bryan gets one over on MJF vocally, and MJF has to leave just absolutely stunned and confused heading into his title match.
No, I think this was absolutely the right move. This was absolutely the right play. What else is there for MJF to say? All we've been seeing from him is him cutting promos. That's all he's been doing. He had one match against Takeshita, and that was fantastic. But MJF is a talker. He's done his talking. Bryan has been wrestling his heart out. He's been breaking his body down to get to this spot. So now it's his turn to get some words in. And we were going to get that last week, but MJF interrupted him. And this was beautiful. I wish that this had an extra 2 minutes to really flow a little bit better, because this speaks to how good a promo Bryan is now. Bryan got so much done in such a short amount of time. It was so impressive. It was so commendable. And I'm going to address some of the comments in our chat, some of the stuff we've seen on Twitter. This made me think there's a chance Bryan wins on Sunday. That's how good this promo was. This promo made me forget for a second that MJF is the talent that this company has put all of their eggs in his basket. And it's like, oh my God, Brian the Dragon Danielson. Maybe it's actually going to happen. That's how good this was. That's how good Brian Danielson is. And I loved it. I am so ready for Sunday for a pay-per-view that we know is going to be so long, and this is the final match on the card, and it's going to go an hour. I am so ready for it. I have the energy for it now. I am ready for it. It's going to be great. And tonight, what's up?
You're not going to have the energy for it when it starts at 12:30 on Sunday.
For this match, I will. It speaks to the stars. It speaks to Brian Danielson. It speaks to MJF. Fuck it. It speaks to Renee, who moderated basically this entire feud. I am so excited. I am so pleased with how this feud has developed. And I was one of the biggest detractors of how MJF handled his part in the feud in the beginning. But this feud culminated beautifully. I am still prepared for MJF to win on Sunday, but Brian Danielson made me believe. And that's Brian Danielson's greatest strength in this sport. He can make you believe in him. And tonight, I believed.
Danny, do you believe?
I want Brian to win so badly.
Yep. You and me both.
I know I've been a fan of MJF. I've been a fan of the idea of him holding on to the title and everyone scrambling to try to take it off him before the bid war. But like
of 2024. You gotta finish that.
I just because sorry, I'm not a rapper like James. I want Brian to win so badly. It's not just how good it's how good this feud has been. I have been flying the flag of this feud because it is constantly, like Navarro said earlier, like you said just now, and like I've been saying for weeks, it has been doing a great job of making you believe Brian can win because this feels like a feud that would end with a title change. It feels like the reign is coming to an end. Everything about this feels like this is the end besides real life. Everything on screen in kayfabe is a perfectly told story to make it feel like Brian is going to win. All the cards are aligned. The only thing that's fucking this up is the real world, is the reality of the situation. But no one, not a fucking soul will be mad if Brian wins on Sunday. That's how well they've told this story. Everyone will be like, yeah, I don't care. This was great. I want Brian to be champion so bad. I'm so biased. He's maybe my favorite wrestler of all time. I really haven't put a super thought into it, but like he's one of like 3 or 4 in the conversation for me, and I want him to win this title so bad. Like I didn't like the ruined Hangman for me. Him being a Brian ruined Hangman for me. Like, you know, like I want him to finally win a big match. I want this so bad, and this feud has been so well told that I won't be mad. Because even if it fucks up the next year of plans, I won't be mad because Brian will be champion, and this feud has warranted a title switch because it's been so good. And this match is going to be great. But I will be tired for it, unlike James. And even though I'm going to drink coffee at like 11 o'clock at night, I will still be exhausted and probably just go to sleep.
Martinis for everybody.
I'm just going to drink espresso. Do you have espresso or is it like a regular coffee pot, James?
It's a Keurig.
Okay, cool.
I
So
can always bring mine.
I
Cafe Bustelo.
like this was borderline perfect. I love some Cafe Bustelo, but this is borderline perfect. I feel strongly about this, but like I'm going to feel on Sunday, I'm tired. I can't articulate it properly, but I also think James has did a good job of summarizing everything and putting it into words. Brian is magical. Anyone who ever tries to come at his promo ability is dumb and they are wrong. Yeah, he's no Punk or MJF, but
he's better at this. MJF's never cut a babyface promo like this. Punk's really more good at cutting tweener babyface-ish promos, but like Brian he's not the smoothest talker, but he's passionate and he conveys it, and that's all that matters. When CM Punk comes out to confront, oh man, that'd be funny. I'm not ruling anything out anymore. They're acknowledging it now, so maybe. But yeah, I love this. I don't think it could have been done better. I don't think this feud could have been told better, honestly. The only thing, so far, the only criticism of MJF's feuds is that they're all so good that it feels like the person he's feuding with should beat him for the title. So I think that would make MJF a pretty good fucking champion, that he's done that 2 for 2.
Well said. That was beautifully said.
All right, take us home, Rev.
All right.
What do you think of it? What did you think of it?
Oh, I like I said at the top, I loved this promo. It was phenomenal. Like I said, I thought MJF not speaking was brilliant. It was such a not only a shock to him, but a shock to me that Brian was able to, get one. I was expecting like a really decent promo battle, and then, Brian probably coming out looking the better of it. But
it was a really good promo battle.
Yeah, it was the fucking end of 8 Mile. Papa Doc just fucking put down the mic and went home. Like it completely shocked me. I hate using subvert expectations because I know certain people have PTSD with that phrase due to a certain franchise on HBO. But
well, wait, hold on.
Game of Thrones, James.
I think you just
Star Wars too.
I think you stumbled into something like a genius point there. Brian left him speechless. He beat him at his own game, and we're unfortunately probably going to see this Sunday is MJF beating Brian at his own game. So on the Go Home show, you have Brian just literally not let MJF get a word in edgewise, which is his fucking specialty. And you haven't beat him at his game, so that he can beat him MJF can beat him at his game on Sunday.
Exactly.
So that is a beautiful way to end it. Yeah, that's
why I absolutely love it. It's got nice symmetry to it. It rhymes, I think, as somebody has put it once. Like it's smart, it's brilliant, and it surprised me in the best way possible. So I was very happy with this, and I think it was a phenomenal way to end the Go Home show. And I think
we did a great job. Talking about it. I think we nailed. We all brought up really good points there. And I think we all deserve a small pat on the back there. I know you were going home, but like I didn't want us to go home without giving you guys some props there.
You're welcome, Tony Khan. We sold the show for you.
All right. Well, I guess that's a good way to end the show. So I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. Please like and subscribe. We will have after a prediction show coming out in the next couple days, and then we'll be live after the pay-per-view. So you can check us out there. You want to check out our socials, you can get them all in the description below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. If you're on YouTube, the Facebook link is in there. If you're on Facebook, the YouTube link is in there. So you can check us out wherever you need to. Yeah, that's everything. So for Danny Hernandez and James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you here next time on the Market Down Podcast. Have a good night, everybody.